From the top and AyinBase 2. The line starts with the word besarim. We're elaborating right now at this point the wondrous phenomenon of the neshama joining and connecting to the guf. The neshama and the guf have no commonality whatsoever. The guf is physicality, is doimen. Doimen means that it does not sense ruchnius. Anything but that which moves it physically, it does not sense. That's doimen. We pointed out that the guf ha'odom, the human guf, was made a doimen, from a doimen, different than the guf of the balei chayim that are initially tzemeach. A tzemeach already has some sensitivity. In and of itself, it has some sensitivity. It needs nourishment, and it draws nourishment.
You said doimen. You're saying the human body is like inanimate, not even sumech, not even chaya.
No, it's not even sumech, exactly. The human body is offer min ha'adam.
While it seems to have features like the animal,
that's due to the neshama in the guf.
But the body per se is not. Okay, it's like like dust, like clay.
Right. And then, so it has no sensitivity whatsoever. The neshama is mislavish in the guf to the extent that the neshama provides to the guf what's called chayim besarim, flesh level of life, which is totally an anomaly for the neshama. Chayim besarim v'chayim tibiyim. Since we don't skip anything, so I'd like to elaborate a little bit on this. The Rebbe is going through great pains over here to point out the anomaly and the phenomenon of the neshama mislavish in the guf. It's totally an unnatural thing. And the neshama should provide the guf, should mislavish in the guf, and he should be able to provide to the guf chayim besarim, flesh level chayis. The neshama providing the guf flesh level chayis, since the guf is inanimate, it is doiming, therefore it cannot be said Now the neshama is simply shining on the guf, and the guf picks it up and says, "Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for." So the guf then translates it in its own turf, in its own level. That's not what happens, because the guf does not have any sensitivity to that. It's a doing. And then the Rebbe says further, Chaim Tiviyim, natural life. What is the meaning of natural life? Life, as we point out many times, life is something that we cannot really comprehend and have get a grasp of. What is the kind of fundamentality in this? What does it mean? What is its essence? What is life? A Gashmi, we can grasp, we can see this is what a Gashmi is, and we can contrast it to something else. But life defies contrast. Either you sense what it is directly, or you don't sense it, because life really is a truth in and of itself. To demonstrate the point, life is not manifest when a person walks. If walking manifests his life, then he's not alive. Life means that he's alive in a standstill, in a passive manner, in an active manner. It's the same life. As a matter of fact, active life is just manifestation of a gila, of a koyach of life. It is not life itself. So life is a self-contained essence. Tiviyim, teva, by definition, is a composite. There is a process. This starts it off, and this picks it up, and this goes on further and further. With Chaim Tiviyim. Like, for example, you said before, walking. Now, walking is accomplished by, walking means you move from one place to another, by moving your legs in a certain order. Now, if the nefesh has the sense that it wants to be here, instead of here, from the perspective of the nefesh, of Chaim, like we said, walking should be saying, Shalodem Shomhu, it is where it wants to be. Because that's what Chaim is, that's what the nefesh is. Chaim Tiviyim is an anomaly for the nefesh. That there's a distance which I have to cover by making 10 steps. The nefesh does not relate to that. To provide that type of sense of life, and yet it's a living thing. That's a type of sense of life, that you have an aim which you're going to accomplish by performing certain activities a certain amount of time and so forth, at times. This is not nefesh. This is robotic for the nefesh, for the neshama. Doesn't understand what it is. Life. It is what it is. So that the neshama should relate to the guf in such a way that it gives it chaim besarim and it gives it chaim tiviyim, chaim on the natural level. Natural means cause and effect, a process. This is a totally anomaly to neshama. So that is the wonder of the fact that the neshama connects to the guf, is related to the guf. V'gam bichlal, and then even more than that, bichlal in general, fundamental, and from the start, from the get-go, sheyiyeh gilui oyer hanshama, that altogether that there should be an expression, a gilui, revelation of oyer hanshama, of the light of the neshama, shezehu hepech hateva. This is the opposite of the nature. Why is it the opposite of nature? Because the nature of oil is lihikolim and koyim. Is to be incorporated and one with its source. This is the teva ha'oil. Oil is not an entity unto itself. Oil is pointing to its source all the time. Like we say, even in our physical light, Oil HaShemesh, the light of the Shemesh, even though in the physical arena, we say the light of the Shemesh has a physical presence, it's an energy and so forth. Nevertheless, in terms of the light element continues to be attributed and related to the source of the Shemesh rather than to the light. Because light does not present itself, it presents only its mocker. And Teva Ha'ir is L'Kol B'Imkoy. So this Shemesh is different. So the Shemesh does not have that type of an essence that it can withdraw the light or reveal it. It doesn't have that kind of option. The Neshama, on the other hand, Neshama is a living essence, and that light, the light of the Neshama, that should manifest and come forward. That is counter to nature. This is an anomaly. How would the Neshama reveal its light? The Teva Ha'oid is L'Kol B'Imkoy, because that's what its essence is. Let's go on a couple more lines. It's discussed and explained elsewhere.
So are we saying that the neshama is pointing to its source also, or like the sun does?
The sun doesn't point to its source.
I mean, the light, like the light points to its source.
Right. The light of the neshama does point to its source, and yet it comes forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's explained elsewhere that this inyan, that the oyer, the nature, is drawn to its source, to be incorporated and be one with the source. This is in the oil sheyesh lo shaychus el hamokum. This is this is true in the type of oil that has a relationship to its source. Which means that it is united with its source. That oil is constantly in the tendency to be incorporated in the source. We'll discuss it in a moment. The Hanshama, and then the Neshama, therefore, the Ma'alosa, due to its special mila, special quality, supreme level. Harei ha'oil shalom. Thus, its oil, dogog mimkoir is dogog mimkoir, is always connected to its source. Since neshama is not a tangible entity that we can point to directly, so we have to point to the neshama and its manifest level and identifying different levels in that manifestation. I'm pointing out, see, at this level it is closer, it is more of the neshama than at this level. And then we would see how the Oil HaNeshama stays connected to its source. So the primary state of the Oil HaNefesh is in the brain, in the brain. This inyan, that the Oil HaNefesh is in the brain, and all aspects of chayus are drawn from the brain. That remains true regardless of how far that chayus extends. Like we pointed out, a person is aware of his little toe at all times, because the toe does not have an independent chayus, an independency. It is the brain that consciously, knowingly, gives it chayus. And that chayus in the toe is constantly reversing and bringing back and saying, okay, where's that chayus coming? It's the brain. Why am I here? Because I have a brain. I have different levels of intellect, brain. Because this is being a chayus. Chayus is always connected to its source, and it is reverting back to the source. There is not a possibility, for example, of the foot acting or sensing anything independently of the brain. Anything that the foot senses and tastes and tests and so forth, it's constantly reverting back to the brain, and the brain says, okay, go ahead, you can do that. There is no independency at all, because the whole mitzvah of chayus is connected to its source, because that's what chayus is. Chayus is representing, so to speak, is the finest element that there is, and it's constantly representing its source. Doesn't want to become a separate mitzvah. So the chayas, the oil hanefesh, is double mimkayim. Therefore, b'sheyiyeh gilui oil hanshama, hepech tiba, and so that there should be the gilui, the revelation of the oil hanshama, which is the hepech tiba, which is counter to its nation. The oil, and then beyond that, sheyaveh bebchinas chayim tiviyim, that it should descend down and be effective in a chayim tiviyim, a natural sense of life. Which is mid-sentence still. Ultimately, it will conclude by saying, these are all things which are anomalies. It's not natural. In the meantime, it goes on and elaborates and it reaches this principle. The principle of, we talked about chayim, the principle of oyer. Oyer is even more refined than chayim. Chayim is mislabish, can actually relate and be imbued in the goof. The goof becomes with it. This life comes from the nefesh, and initially it comes from the nefesh in the form what's called oil hanefesh, the light of the nefesh. So very briefly, what is meant by oil hanefesh? So our demonstration, our motion for oil, we have the oil of the human being. The human being is also, as we've mentioned many times, it is neshama, is etzem, and its presence is manifest in the form of oil. Meaning to say, on the smallest scale, the person is in his home, and his presence is felt throughout this home. How is it felt? Because of the oil of what the human being is. What the human being stands for. Like we said, that initially when the human being was created, he transformed the whole status of the world. Because he brought to the world through his oil what the essence of what a human being is, and therefore thereby giving the world a completely different status. The whole world, because of the oil that emanates representing directly the human being. This oil is totally intangible, and it is a representative, so to speak, of the etzem. This oil ultimately, it never becomes a separate mitzvah. For example, coming back to the simple, to the smallest scale, a human being comes into a house, and therefore he transforms the house into a living home for the human being. And then, as a result of the fact that it's a living home for the human being, the house gets furnished to accommodate all human functions. This furnishing can that now function independently of the presence of the person. The presence of the person is what makes the furnishing is furnishing. If the person is absent, then the furnishing is wood. It has no chayes. It has no light. Because light is always connected and dependent on the essence of on the source. And if the source is missing, then the light is missing. Goes back to the source. This is true. It is true of a human being who is, so to speak, present in the physical sense. The neshama, it is totally, completely this. Neshama is represented by the neshama itself, the essence of the neshama itself in its oil. What does it mean represented by its oil?
Represented by?
By its oil. What is represented there? If the oil does not have any effect, now it is not chai. It's a light of the neshama. Like a person's presence. What does a person's presence actually do? Oh, the house came to life. What? He didn't do anything. He's just present. The light element, life is that's what's mislavish. The light element has a very, very fine effect. And the effect is that the light is giving a message, not the chayes itself, but that there is a possibility, there is a sense, a meaning to furnishings. The light doesn't provide furnishings. But it provides for the sense that there's meaning for these furnishings. That's all it is. It does not have a presence of its own. But since, like we said before, the human being came to the world, therefore there is meaning to the presence of the world. It didn't change anything. Therefore, the beasts are beasts, and the rivers are rivers. Everything is real.
This element of light is like a makif. You said life is what is enclosed, and the light is...
The element of light, right, is like a makif. This makif is expressed, is affected by the fact that there is this essence, there is this truth of the source of light. He's not there in essence, you don't grasp it. But he has the effect of there being this presence. That's why I make one statement. Something which we mentioned many times in the past. There is Chochmah, Bina, V'das, and there is a Midas and all that. What is Chochmah? in very brief, Chochmah is that which gives you the sense that there is such a thing as the truth. In order to identify the truth, you still have to dig into it and know it and understand it. But that such thing as truth exists, it's present. That precedes everything. This points up the error in the woman saying, I know how this works because how it interacts with each other, and I know the truth. That's not the truth. That's not the truth at all. In order to be the truth, you have to sense that there is such a thing as truth first. That this structure represents a kind of truth. Then this structure represents a truth. This is why Chochmah has to precede me. It's it for this morning.